Okay, so today is February the 18th. So of 2023, and for today's prayer, I brought the St. Francis prayer. So many difficult times happening around the world, and not only with the war, but earthquake, and so many families struggling to live in peace. The basics, right? So I choose this one for today. So let's close our eyes, elevate our thoughts, ask first of all permission to the spirits, to the higher realms, to start our study today, our meeting today, but also thank God for meeting friends again, and having a chance to see them. They are doing well. Thank you, God, for taking us through the week, taking us through all this time, and bringing us together this afternoon. We ask you for this opportunity to learn, and we would like to also ask for protection for this group, for our family members, friends, houses, but also we would like to ask protection and peace to the whole humanity, to the whole world. Lord, make us an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. But it's in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to the eternal life. And so be it.
Amen.
Amen.
I wish I still had a voice to sing, because I would sing that for you, but
one day I'm gonna ask you, because you have a beautiful voice. I'm pretty sure you can do
it. No
singing
voice anymore.
Better than me. Believe me, you don't want to hear me singing.
Basso profundo, if you know what that is.
Oh, look at you. Wow. That's fancy. Anyway, so that's funny that you guys were saying jokes this afternoon, because that's exactly how I think. I thought about starting today's meeting, and the reason why I choose that was because in my company, they included me, or they asked me to facilitate a meeting to talk about diversity and being, foreign citizen, from Brazil. So I am supposed to hold this meeting with several people in my company, and then we just talk about all the differences, but also I don't want to emphasize the differences. I want to call attention to the facts or the points that make us all one. At the end of the day, we are all human beings seeking peace. Just live in peace, and be understood as much as we understand. We are. But anyway, so I found this joke, that talks about comprehension and how people talk and how people listen to each other and what exactly we understand from each other. So the joke is a woman, a school teacher, and you know how school teachers are, they are very descriptive, they are very detailed whenever they talk about they ask for something. So a school teacher, a woman, a school teacher, noticed her husband, which is a software developer. Well, as a software developer, his mind is very analytical. He's very step by step. So a woman noticed her husband is heading out the door. And then she asked, pick up a gallon of milk, and if they have eggs, then get 6. The husband comes back with 6 gallons of milk. Asked why, he replies, because they had eggs. So the point of the joke is exactly this: if, then. That's the conditional. For a software developer, if there is a condition, then you have to say yes or no. Depending on the yes or no, then you do or you do not do the second action, right? So pick up a gallon of milk, and if they have eggs, in the grocery store, he saw that the grocery store, they had eggs. Then get 6 what? 6 gallons of milk. So it's a very, nerd type of joke, but that calls my attention because when I was looking at this, I thought to myself, it's so hard for us to understand each other, even when we are speaking the same language, speaking the same the same type of verbiage, it's so easy to be misunderstood, and it's so hard for us to understand one another. And if we put this in perspective, when we have, for example, a medium receiving a message from a guide, from a spirit, or us, just simple people, trying to get contact or a connection with our guides. So it's not something so simple, it's something very hard to achieve. But I guess the key point is the connection, right? So depending on the quality of that connection, depending on the quality of our thoughts, and also depending on exactly what we want, then I guess we'll be more or less successful in our communication and understanding. So it's just a simple way to see and appreciate also all the work that the spirits do as they try to communicate with us, as they try to guide us, to give us some tips and some hints and try to help us and put us in a good path. Anyway, so last time we stopped right here, 780, like Giles was saying. So, and that is on the law of progress, the march of progress is the topic. Does moral progress always follow intellectual progress? It is the result, but it does not always follow it immediately. And it's probably, sometimes the spirits, they are very nice with, very polite. And our experience is like, it takes longer than what exactly we wanted to. And letter A, how can intellectual progress lead to moral progress? I do not know if you guys went over the A's and B's. Have you? Did you cover? Okay,
We did the A.
Yeah, the A. So letter A, how can intellectual progress lead to moral progress? By making human beings gain an understanding of good and wrongdoing, they can then choose between them. The development of free will follows the development of intelligence and increases the accountability of human actions. And the letter B, how is it then that the most enlightened nations are often the most deviant? And the answer, complete and integral progress is the purpose of life, but nations, like individuals, reach it gradually. Until the moral sense is developed, they may even employ their intelligence in doing evil. Moral sense and intellect are two forces that are balanced over the course of time. Hyacinth, please.
Yes, because my problem with today's people is ethics have gone out the door. People are very unethical, and the leaders, I'm afraid, are lacking.
Yep. I'm with you. Yep. Leda, please.
The spirit of Emmanuel, which is the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, he has a comment on that. He says that we are like a bird that needs two wings to fly. So the moral sense is one of the wings, and the intellect is the other wing. So without the two wings balanced, we cannot fly. So this is very interesting because humanity has all the intellectual development and not so much of the moral development. So we're not flying well. We're kind of we're totally unbalanced. So we need to let the moral sense grow in every country, in every way. We need the morality to be studied and to be learned and practiced, because
Observed,
we don't know
yes.
how to do that.
Yep, agree. Yeah, very good. Yeah, thank you for bringing that. I love that analogy that Emmanuel did, with the two wings. That's exactly the way that it's so easy to stick in our mind, right? So I love that. Thank you. Gloria.
I think I'm looking for the words. I think that our materialistic preoccupation has caused many, many, many millions of people to shut down their spiritual brain, intellect, their etheric,
Yes.
and they're thinking with this physical, and the preoccupation with materialism causes an imbalance because it's focused on materialism. And that is what is promoted in our modern day advanced societies is, climb the ladder, break the rungs behind you so nobody can catch up. It's the models that we use are all materialistic brain focused. And I'm not saying it's as bad as when we were using child labor and had slaves. Well, we still do. There's still human trafficking.
Yes.
But it seems that as our population has grown, that focus on materialism and thinking with this brain instead of our hearts is only increased. And that is what I find very troublesome, that you can turn on the television and see children starving to death and just go eat your dinner. You know, that it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would wake up to the fact that this is temporary and will be held, you know, we'll hold ourselves accountable at some point. And this is what gets in the way.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. Thank you. Giles?
Yeah, for the last, well, you know what I think, because I put it in the chat already in both languages. Let's see, doing two things. My wife and I started a non-profit 20 years ago, 15 years ago, to help the wretched in this area, which of course is very difficult to do in a third world country, but easier to do in a first world country because there's more money around and people throw things away. It's amazing what they do in this country. So as I can say that we are working towards helping people, which is of course the whole point. I do think, however, that the idea that ethics are going out the window is silly, because if you read history, you find from 1,000 years pre-Roman and during Roman, slavery, murder, torture, they were just ignored. Slavery, I had an incarnation as a rower. It wasn't a good long time, and it wasn't a good time. I was on the top right bank near the front, and luckily I was on the top bank, because if you're on the lower bank, well, you get what the top bank drops on you. These things have gone. Things are improving. Now, Hyacinth doesn't like it because the internet shows more corruption. But you think about the English Empire.
No.
Know what? The English Empire was the nastiest corporation on the planet. And that's pretty much faded away. There are other empires, other corporations taking its place. But the East India Company, do you know what they have done and what they did? And yes, it's going on. China's working in Africa to continue the same kind of tricks. But don't pretend that it hasn't happened. It's very nasty and went on for centuries. So you want to disagree with that and say, oh, and now we know all about it because of the internet and therefore things look bad. No, things are looking better.
No, absolutely not. Because we should know better now, having learned from history and seeing it. Because now we see it before us. And what Harvard Business School said, they were having to teach a course on ethics because people didn't have an idea of what it was to be ethical. I'm sorry, I'm angry.
Yeah, don't be. We are just expressing our what we think, our opinions, right? So
because we now know it. We have seen the result.
Yeah, but let me
and
give you
who has taken over from the British Empire? Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Let me give you some ideas for later thoughts. So, for example, we know that the Earth planet is a school, right? As a school, we have the classes that is very close to graduation. So we have that kind of students, and we have those students like in the kindergarten. still with many years ahead of them and many lessons to be learned yet. But here in US they subdivided the school in the by ages, you know, kindergarten and then high school, whatever. But in Brazil, they mix. So you will have in the same school, attending the same school, a person, a child that is attending classes in the kindergarten, and you will have also a student attending classes, and that student will be graduating this year, for example. So that's how I see Earth. We see people that is very close to graduation, and I have a very good understanding of what we are doing here and what we should be doing and what the main purpose is, which is the spiritual evolution, the spiritual development. But we will find also people that is at the very beginning of their learning. And I don't know, Luis may correct me, but I have the impression that we have people in this planet, or this planet holds people or houses people that might be in their first incarnations. I don't know, maybe. And that's my interpretation, at least. Luis, you want to say something? If you got, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, one thing I've always observed are the psychographies, books by Chico Xavier, as you say. And one thing was very clear for me in the last 40 years is that was predicted a massive reincarnation of people who just lived in medieval mentalities in our spiritual realms around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I think that's why we have some confusing and conflictuous arguments, for example, between Giles and Hyacinth, because on the one hand, Giles is right because morality improved. But on the other hand, millions of people living at the medieval level reincarnated, and it was predicted. In those books, it said we are going to live the era of the masses, right? Of the massive number of people on Earth. And these people are not educated enough, right? So we are somehow back in this kind of sensation that things are very primitive again, people doing very bad things with no principles at all. But this was a necessity of the evolution on Earth because they need to get the benefits of education as it was implanted on the planet so far, right? So I think this was something that explained to me, right, the situation.
Yeah.
But can I ask, what about those very wealthy, very well-educated people who hold their workers in bondage? Where is a moral standing?
No, yes, I agree. There are lots of very bad things, people that are really responsible for the lots of suffering here, right? And that's why we don't expect just good things for the future of humanity, for the future of society, because we, with our behavior in terms of members of our population, we sometimes endorse, right? Most of the times endorse this kind of behavior. And of course, there's a price to pay for that. Let's just ask Lord for his mercy for us, right?
Yeah. I have a good example. As Luis was talking about this, it crossed my mind the fact that this week I went to a show, was a concert I will not mention the name of the artist because I don't want to be pointing, because what I'm gonna say is actually a comparison. So that concert I was looking at that I attended this week, it was very nice and everybody was singing, and that is a very known artist. And I remember at the beginning of his career, he was considered like a sex symbol, and everybody was, so excited about his looking, etc., etc. But the thing is, he never thought of himself that way. In his entire career, he was never even mentioning that aspect. He was always like ignoring that kind of comment. So and then when I was there, and then I thought about another artist that started at the same time, but I believe it's because of, to sell more, or, to get more famous or reach out more people. I do not know. But that artist did agree with working or engaging in that kind of way of thinking. And I saw year after year these other artists adding more and more elements associated with, being a sex symbol, etc., etc. And if you compare the two artists, very known globally, but one is reaching out a certain population and just spreading happiness, giving a little bit of hope, and just allowing people or helping people to have a good time. The other one is saying that is doing the same thing in her way, but is helping to disseminate this idea of how can I say, bringing not so higher values, associating her career, her music, and also because of that, so she is kind of guiding her public, her fans, if you will, the same way, so if I think about morality, that's how it is. We live in this very divided society, and we live in a dual, I do not know how to say this, Luis, but it's always dark or bright, light and darkness,
yes.
good and bad. So it's very, very polarized, right? So, but it depends on us. Like when I saw this artist, when he decided, no, I'm going to ignore this, because what I'm going to do, I like what I do. I like my art. I like the music, and that's what I want to share, as opposed to this other one adding to her work other elements, and probably she didn't need to, but just to sell more, to be more popular, then people is engaging in lower values, if you will. So that's
I was thinking and remember that the spirits used to say that we don't have to wait for everyone to evolve. because group evolutions in group is very slowly. They evolve very slowly, and we must search it for ourselves. And of course, sometimes we became sad, and we see that where we live and where the way the earth is not very good, and people maybe sometimes don't want to evolve, but that's the way, unfortunately, it is. And it's really very slowly, and we must search for it for ourselves sometimes.
That's true. That's true. And that's exactly what I was about to say, because yeah, we see a lot of people that is kind of seems like they're moving in the wrong way. And what we do, right? So it's very concerning. But that reminds me what the spirits say, that what actually we need to do in order to seek for evolution is not really much. I mean, for every incarnation, they do not ask us. I mean, when I say they, the higher realms, they are not asking us, or they do not include in our incarnation planning. They do not say that they want us to become like Mother Teresa all of a sudden, you know, or be somebody of that caliber. We don't have to be. What they say, the spirits say, is actually what we need to do to help with our evolution is very little. And if we knew better how little that was, would not be so distracted with so many things like Gloria said, and we should be more focused on that very little thing. And that reminds me, my neighbor, this guy, he is a young guy. He is, I don't know, probably his late 20s, maybe, you know, good looking guy. And but what called my attention is he's always running. Anytime you go out there, and I have in my area, there is like a small park that you can walk the dogs, etc. So every time that I'm walking my dog, or if I'm leaving, going to work or coming back, I see him jogging. So one day I was talking to my neighbor, the other neighbor over here, and we were talking about this guy that is actually from Nigeria. He's a Nigerian boy. So my neighbor knows him, and then he said, well, and then is he an athlete? Because every time that I see him, he's jogging. He said, no, he has, seems like he has some emotional issues, you know, and what he does is, his psychiatrist recommended him to jog and to run so he can release that anxiety. So, and then a friend of mine, he was visiting me, and he saw the same guy jogging all the time. And then he was asking, okay, so can you explain to me what is an incarnation like this? You know, how will he evolve? How will ever he evolve if he's just jogging and he's not really interacting with people, etc.? And then I said, well, to me, it seems like if he only does that, just jogging all the time, and does not do anything to hurt himself, it's going to be a great thing. So he will be in a position, you know, as let's assume that, you know, I don't know, 40 years from now, he will transition, and assuming that he will by then he would just, ran, and he didn't, I don't know, he is a chemical engineer, my neighbor told me, but he's not working, he's not doing anything. But let's think that let's just assume that he doesn't never applied for a job, but instead he's just jogging. I said, to me, as long as he's not hurting himself and not doing anything bad, perhaps that's a great victory for him. And perhaps that's what he was meant to be doing in this incarnation. When we think about a successful incarnation, we as incarnated people, we think about achieving great things, but like Gloria said, in materialistic way, right? So doing great things as a professional, I don't know, buying a house, having a car, whatever. But sometimes all that we need to do, our real mission is to control ourselves and have a good balance in our emotions. Perhaps that's his main or major challenge. Hyacinth, please.
Is who knows what his karma is?
Exactly.
Who knows what he is working off?
Exactly.
We don't really know.
Yes. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we just have to wish him well and pray for him and pray that he works out his problems, because clearly he is suffering.
He's suffering.
And
Exactly.
he needs compassion.
Exactly. Yeah. Very well said. Gloria, please.
Today I listened to a recording that Scott Milligan made yesterday, and he's a physical medium.
Yeah, I love him.
Reads through a group that identifies as Eric. And after the channeling, one of the participants asked him, there's a terrible war going on, and these earthquakes, tens of thousands of people dead, and there's a train wreck in Ohio, and we've got mass shootings. And the person said, Eric, help us. What can we do to elevate, humankind on this planet? And the answer was just, he said, work on yourself.
See what Emmanuel said, what Lida was talking about.
It brought me to tears. You could tell that they are suffering about this too. And, we're looking for these big picture answers, and all I said is work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Educate yourself.
Exactly.
There's no other way, right? There's no other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we cannot fix anybody, we cannot pretend or have this illusion that we can fix somebody else. We cannot do it, right? Luis or Livia.
Yes, it reminded me of a case by Chico Xavier. He was walking past a bar in his hometown, very small hometown here in the surroundings of. Can you listen?
Yes.
And he was looking at those guys playing pool and spending their time, wasting in his mind their time there in the bar. And one day he asked his spirit guide, Emmanuel, said, come on, time is so precious on this planet. This planet is not an easy place for you to be. Why are these people spending their time like this? And Emmanuel said, that was the best place we found for them. If they were outside that place, they were committing crimes.
Wow.
So this is the best we could find for them, right? And that's it. It's difficult for us to pass any judgment in terms of these things. Another thing I'd like to say is about money. There's a book by Emmanuel called Money, right? Of course, in Portuguese, dinheiro.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I think what Zanny said, right, yes, about money there, and I agree with her. I would just add of what the Apostle John and Evangelist John said, that the love of money is in the root of all the evil, right? Yeah, because money in itself is not the problem, right?
Nothing, yeah.
But the love of money. And as we are materialistic people, materialist people, of course, we are gonna love money in a way that's so so difficult for us when you go to the other side of life. So life continues, life goes on, and I may have spent lots of time giving too much attention to that and forgetting about my betterment, right? What I really, oh, the real coin on the other side is virtue. Yeah,
It's
so
virtual,
that's
yes.
it.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. Hi, Saif.
I will never. Yes, the thing is, what I do pray is that all these people who are making these fortunes at the expense of others, that they understand that this time it's just a blip and they will pay when they go on the other side and see what they have done. And they won't be able to face themselves. They're judging themselves. But yes, that's what you did.
Yeah. Yes, in a book of one of the books of Emmanuel, I cannot, perhaps Luis will remember which one that is, but Emmanuel, he explains that for example, several people who exploited the American continent, especially the Hispanic area, and killed the native people out there. Several of them, later on, they reincarnated in South America, living in the area, you know, as with all the issues, with all the problems that actually they helped creating those problems, you know, many years ago. So had they worked on help, you know, yielding progress, helping the locals, you know, to get better, etc., etc. Guess what? The next incarnation, they probably would found, you know, better place to live, right? So it's like living the consequences of our attitude, behavior, our acts many years ago. So it's another law, the law of cause and effect.
Yes. I don't know if this is true, but I heard very many years ago that Martin Luther King had been a slave owner.
I totally agree. That makes totally sense. Yeah.
Oh
But
dear. I have to laugh about that, Hyacinth. Absolutely. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm agreeing. But when we have 1,000 incarnations behind us, of course we were slave owners. And
no, come on, Giles. You know what we're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. And I have had 1,000 incarnations or more behind me. And I have certainly been a slave owner and a nasty person. And I'm better now. That's what I think.
Yeah. Luis.
Yes. Well, it's funny that we are talking about this because, of course, the consequences of reincarnation are so interesting, and that's why I love the works of Chico Xavier, because he had the opportunity of channeling more than 500 books, and in these books you can make the connections of people I met myself personally in life.
And I could see, my goodness, this is incredible, right? For example, one person that Chico Xavier talked about was, I think I've already talked about him here. He said about a guy that was even my master in Spiritism. Chico Xavier confided to someone saying that this guy had been Philip II from Spain. And Philip II was called Philip the Prudent, right? Very cautious guy.
Yeah.
And this master of mine was such a cautious person, unbelievably cautious. And he also said that this guy is in his book 2000 years ago in the character called Flaminius Severus,
Severus.
which is who is a very cautious guy too. And then a friend of ours here, a very famous spiritist called Arnaldo Rocha, he said, Sergio, you're a little bit skeptical about this truth of who was who, but read this book here in this chapter about Philip II and see if you don't recognize the guy. And I said, oh, come on, it's him. I mean, it's so interesting. And it indeed, these connections of reincarnation happen to us. For example, I remember many homeless people would try to help on the street. They were clearly noble people from the past. They were not used to working. So I remember once we were, giving out some hot chocolates on the street. Was kind of winter, and I remember, Livia, that we offered the hot chocolate to a guy, and the guy was sitting up straight in his chair, just like a very noble man, and he said, no, I need to call my partner. She has to try it first. So he called his kind of wife, her partner, and I thought, oh yes, he can only eat or drink if I try first, right? So she tried it. Oh no, it's not. He needs really hot. It's just warm. Well, so he won't drink it. This was a homeless person on the street, and I started talking to him. He had kind of memories from the past that sometimes popped out his memory. He talked kind of about politics and from the past. So that's why, yes, if you are in a reincarnation, that gives you so much comfort, that makes you hinder you having the capacity of working, of producing to yourself. An incarnation like that is still a merciful thing that will teach you, okay, from now on you have to, but even so we try to get around and not work, and understand. It's funny.
When your mind is so attached to that old reality, right? I was watching a lecture from one of the speakers from the Spiritist community in Brasilia. She's very nice, and then she was talking about this guy that she met in one of the cities in Brazil. I do not remember which one, but it was a crazy guy. He was living in the streets, and his life was very hard. Was not an easy one, but eventually he went crazy. He ended up living in the streets. But as he was losing his mind, still he had some memories from the past, and everybody was calling him local, a crazy man, madman. But in reality, she knew that he was reaching out some past memories, because he was calling out for his palace. What is my palace? What is everybody? Where is my servants? Where they are? And because he used to be a marquis in his past life. So
yes, maybe Luis, this man who had his food to be tasted had been a king with a taster. Because of fear of poisoning, somebody had to taste his food.
Exactly what I thought about, yes, because he didn't drink or eat anything without someone trying first, right? And he was on the street, completely dirt, just like a tramp, really, but in the posture of a noble person, or a high hierarchy,
Yes, we are amazing indeed.
All right, so moving to the next one, 781, do beings have the power to halt progress? What we think? Evidently, the answer is no, because progress is a natural law. Well, comments? No, so
Yeah, comment is yes, absolutely. Yes, they can hamper it sometimes. So progress continues irrespective, which is why things are better than they were a couple of 100 years ago.
yeah,
There's more people. But then there's that story about a whole bunch of wannabes having to incarnate as poor people in this world. It's a complex picture, and I wouldn't dare to try and guess what the reality is for any individual.
Thank you, Giles. So, Luis, what do you think about this question? Because we do progress, but like Lena was saying, Emmanuel mentioned, we progress as one, but every once in a while we see reference to in the spiritist books about entire society or entire community, or a certain people like Egyptians or whatever progressing all together. Could you please, like a mess, could you please comment on that?
Yes, your question is a very, very important question, somehow tricky too, because it's something that we Aryans, we don't like the idea of this kind of affinity, right? But we really are families. We have families, we belong to spiritual families, and many of us detached from those families, and this causes a lot of pain. And because of this pain, we run away from feelings and we dive into this matter here to be successful on the planet, right? So this is one of the karma, right, of the karmas of our generation. According to Chico Xavier, we are at the end of this period of 28,000 years of this Aryan race. And that's why the Aryan values are kind of falling apart somehow, because this thing of advancing and going for it, and forget about God, forget about affinity, don't have family. I don't have a spiritual family. I am on my own. This is a lie, right? We need each other. We live because of each other, right? And it is something that we need to, for us to progress, we'll always need someone, right? And we need, even from, we'll have the help of the minerals, the vegetables, the humans, and every kind of creature. We are social, right? Sociable people. And then there are families. For example, in the book, if you remember the book Renunciation by Chico Xavier, right? It's an angel that's reincarnating, and she's talking to a person. I even channeled a song about this. It was a beautiful song in my opinion, but I couldn't, of course, I'm not a musician, right? I couldn't interpret exactly what I had heard. But Alcyone, her name, she was reincarnating on Earth to rescue a dear person of hers, right? And the angel said to her, look, you're going to reincarnate there, you're going to be a woman, you'll have any desires, just like any woman, and some people that tried what you want to try now, they got engaged with the karmic situation of the planet there, and they're still there. So it's very risky. And she said, no, okay, but I want to go. I want to go and rescue this guy from me. And so these things are beautiful. And you see, these things happen, right? very good people sometimes reincarnate among our family, and many times in a humble situation, even sometimes as a servant. And those people are the psychological and spiritual support of the family. When these people go away and they pass away, sometimes the family got disrupted, you know. And then you see, oh, that person was a person who, and I think, so I do understand things like that, although it's an idea that our society doesn't accept very well, right?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So sometimes that's why we feel like we were born in a family that we do not recognize, because
Yes. Once I was taking a shower, right? I was taking a shower and I felt the proximity of very dear spirits. But I got down on my knee and I started crying, just asking for them to stay some more seconds. The sensation of belonging and, you know, having a real family. And at the same time, the sensation of being backward, of having stayed behind. It's at the same time heavenly and terrible. So it was a very interesting moment. I was going through some very difficult moments, and I think they came to help me. But the sensation was very beautiful, beautiful indeed. And then you have to come to the idea, oh my God, I'd like to be there with them. I'd like to belong more closely to these people. And I feel that many of them have already gone up, and here I am, right?
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because it did happen to me once as well. And the feeling was so amazing that the only one thing that occurred to me was to ask for them to pardon me, to forgive me. But and then I remember saying, don't give up on me. I will catch up. One day I will. Just keep faith. I will catch up. But please forgive me, because yeah, what can I say? I'm trying.
And it reminded me of someone asked me yesterday, Sergio, do you think I can be fixed? So all of us can. The problem is when. Right?
Yeah.
Because the longer it takes, the more we suffer. That's it.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Anyway, so the 781A, what should we think of those who attempt to halt progress and make the human race regress? Luis, would you please read the answer for us?
Okay. Well, God will punish them. They will be overthrown by the flow they want to stop. Progress is a condition of human nature, and no one can prevent it. It is a living force that bad laws may hamper, but not smother. When these laws become incompatible, progress breaks them down and continues to do so until the laws of humankind match divine justice, which wills the best for everyone, and until all laws made by the strong to the detriment of the weak are eradicated. Yes.
I think it makes sense, except that me personally, I don't believe God will punish anybody, except that your consciousness, as soon as you realize that you made a mistake, a huge mistake, God doesn't need to punish anybody.
That's what I think, that we punish ourselves.
Exactly.
Because we see it clearly on the other side, whether we intended to or not. And what I've been told is that you feel the other person's discomfiture and pain.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, but just remember, we all are here because of mercy. And
Yes.
we have the chance by doing good, trying to wash away many bad doings from the past, right?
Mhm.
This is something, of course, it won't give us the chance to go up in the scale, but it will clean our karmic pathway. To understand, that's why in the spiritism we say, out of charity, the true charity, right? There's no salvation.
From
So
the
it's,
heart.
yeah,
From
from
the
the
heart.
heart, the true
Yeah.
charity, yes.
Yeah, it's a very nice thing what you said, because sometimes we forget about that before doing any step up, we need to actually wash away, clean, like you said, right? The way ahead of us.
Yes, I said the true charity because we usually think we are charitable, right?
Mhm,
There's a message by the spirit Humberto de Campos,
mhm.
journalist, also by Chico Xavier. It's an overwhelming message speaking about everybody thinks they're charitable, right? And all the tyrants of this planet consider themselves charitable people, right? So we need to be very careful and think when they say charity, yes, is without charity there's no salvation, but the true charity that comes from the heart, the one that makes you benevolent, not only beneficent, good, very nice, but also benevolent, right? Because you can be beneficent and not being benevolent. You can be racist, you can
Yes.
have a lot of prejudice, even if you are beneficent. But if you are benevolent,
Benevolent.
automatically it will start being beneficent and things will be more balanced.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. Thank you,
Without
Luis.
charity, Luis, you become a tinkling cymbal.
Tinkling.
Yes, the Apostle Paul, something like this.
Yes.
All right, so I guess this, oh, yeah, 781, are there individuals who honestly obstruct progress while believing that they are helping it move forward? Because they often regard something as progress that is not such. It's a very long question, but are there individuals who honestly obstruct progress while believing that they are helping it move forward because they often regard something as progress that is not such?
Well, there's an easy answer to that one. That's what reincarnation is for. You
Mhm.
can't change people's minds, or in very, very rare cases. And so they have to get old and die and reincarnate. And the new generation, who is not them, is another lot, can take a new attitude to it. And it's so difficult to change people's mind that we have a story which we all listen to every year without fail in one version or another, which is called A Christmas Carol, where Scrooge changed his character before he died. And it's so rare that we see this same story every year. I mean, I don't know if anybody has noticed that, but, you know, I've been alive for quite a long time and I see that every year. Sorry, that was it.
Same as the Grinch, like the Grinch,
Mr. Grinch.
Giles. The Grinch changed. The
Yes,
Grinch is
but we don't
hot.
get, he hasn't been around for 170 years.
No, but
every
we
year.
have a new Grinch. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite stories. I love
Yeah.
that story.
Well, it's just a perfect analogy for how difficult it is for people to change the ideas with which they were brought up by their parents.
But you
And
can change.
yes, of course you can change, but usually, usually it means a reincarnation and a memory wipe, which is why that is such a wonderful miracle, that memory wipe.
No, but you can change from midlife or whatever. You can change. I know lots of people who do turn around because they see what they're doing is clearly not right.
Well, that's very good news, Hyacinth.
Thank you, guys. Gloria, please.
The example that comes to mind for me living in the South is there are many really good people who want to pass laws to have prayer in school, but they want the prayer to be their religion. And that alienates and polarizes people. So even though they want something that they see as progress towards spirituality, in fact, it becomes very divisive.
Yep. 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 That's a very good one.
Well, yeah, that's I'm of two minds when I get to the afterlife and the question of reincarnation comes up. Can I really bear to come back to this planet as long as fundamentalist religion is alive and well, hammering on people left, right, and center and causing the immense and endless grief that it does? You all may have seen on TikTok a picture split in two, one of those poster pictures, where it shows a pickup truck full of drunk Trump supporters with, or conservatives, let's call them, with machine guns. And the other picture is of the Taliban in a pickup truck, all with machine guns. And the caption says, "Spot the difference." I can't.
People are judging people such and they're hating people such that I just cannot stand it. The hatred that's being promoted is impossible to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
unfortunately, Hyacinth, there's nothing new about that. It's been going on for a very long time.
But I've never seen it being promoted as
No,
it is
you've never had
today.
the internet before.
Exactly. Exactly. And the social media. Exactly.
Yeah, thank you all. Leda.
Well, I believe that when you have the right, the sincere and honest will to help progress and be good and do your best, you may do it in the wrong way, but you will be corrected more easily than because there are so many people that really want to stop the progress and keep Earth in the way that it used to be, in the bad way that's been happening for so long, that when someone wants to do the good thing, the right thing, even when they make mistakes, they are easier to correct.
I'll give you an example. Paul the Apostle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Luis.
Yes, I was going to speak a little bit about the idea that Gloria was talking about, that Allan Kardec, when he was idealizing, right, designing what a spiritist center would be, he proposed the ideas that we wouldn't have any ritual in that place. Even the kind of prayer would be more universal kind of prayer, because he wanted everybody from any kind of religion, even atheists, to be there. Because at first, spiritism is a science, is a discovery of a new world and need to be studied by any kind of people. So that's why in the spiritist centers, we don't have images. We don't usually have, as a true spiritist center, we don't have images. We don't have, anything that can call the attention for this or that kind of a segment of religion or something. And not exactly, although there is prayer, right? There is prayer, there is meditation, there is seances, but that was the idea too. So because
but they say that the prayers, if we go to those spiritist centers, they will say the prayers must come from the heart, as long as it's you doing it, right?
Yes, Allan Kardec said, if you are in your home, you can pray however you want to, right? Upside down with a 1 meter candle in front of you. It's your, intimacy. But in the spiritist center, please respect other people's beliefs. and let's do different.
Exactly. Yeah, very well said. So Luis, please read the answer for this last one for us, please.
Okay. Yes, they are like small pebbles under the great wheel that cannot keep it from moving. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
that'll be it.
Good.
All
Thank
right,
you.
folks. So it's 4:17 here in Houston, and has been a great discussion today. I love this group as usual, and I hope I can meet you all next Saturday. Okay, you all have a great weekend. Luis, you want to say?
Annie's got a shot. Annie's got a shot.
Oh,
Annie, come
sorry,
on.
Annie. I don't see your hand.
I just wanted to say, Luis was so good last week. And he loves Chico so much. And it was so good that I ordered it. I got this yesterday afternoon.
Wow, good.
So,
congrats.
yeah, I'm looking
Very
forward to
good.
reading
Thank
it.
you.
And then I also got, and this was one of, I think, Hyacinth, like this fellow, that the afterlife had a thing about him. And it seems like it's going to be a good book too. It's going to be very cold here next week. So I have lots of reading.
You have a good company.
Wow.
Me
Okay.
too. Me too. I have my
You're becoming very knowledgeable, people. This is crazy. This is crazy, right?
This is
I love you guys.
heaven
Thank
and
you very much.
hell from
Heaven and
Allan
hell.
Kardec.
Yes.
Anyway.
Let's stay with the first part only. Have this.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see some of you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I'll try. It's
Yes.
I'll be with the nun, the Mary sister Aila here, right?
Tomorrow.
Interviewing her.
awesome.
But if it finishes before, I'll be there with Wendy. Zenit.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Good.
See you
See you guys. Have a
Yes.
great
All right.
weekend.
Goodness.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
See
Great
you,
talking,
everybody.
everybody. Be safe. See you
Vladimir,
next
we hear
week.
from you next time. Okay. Right.